Yeah. What's good? What's good? Mic check, mic check. Oh man, we are officially live for episode 1. Welcome on in. Kicking the Real podcast. I told y'all, episode 1, we're coming with a bang. We had it started off the right way. I got my brother Tom Bogert, MLS and USMNT insider for the Athletic. He's done a bunch of other great things. But Tom, man, thanks for coming through kicking with me, man.
What's going on, brother? Happy to be a part of it. I'm sorry that coming big was me for your first guest, but I will say I'm immediately impressed by the intro there because you got to have it right and ready to go on your first episode, and that's tough. I feel too awkward trying to come up with some shit like that. So yours went well, and well done is what I got to say.
You know, it's funny we workshopping, man. I actually have my buddies working on some beats and some custom intros for me. So
All
down the
right.
line we'll make it different. But you know what I'm saying? We just gotta jump into it, man. We can't much. Now, if you're not familiar with Tom, please tap in. Tom is the man. He's on top of everything in the MLS world, everything in the soccer world. He's breaking the news, transfers, pissing off your favorite teams and fans and front offices, which we'll probably get into a little later. But in all seriousness, man, great guy. I had the pleasure to link up with a lot of different times around MLS season. Does great work for the Athletic and prior MLSsoccer.com. Not just somebody that you see on Twitter breaking news, also a great writer. I appreciated the K Kyle piece, man. That was super dope. So keep up the good work. We'll make sure we link all of Tom's socials and all that good stuff in here. Now, Tom, when I say how you doing, I really want to know how you're doing because Tom is also now on YouTube. So he's doing great work there as well. I heard him the other day talking about he had an off day where he played Football Manager for a while, which doesn't shock me. There's no off time in sports.
Yep.
And this is probably the busiest time for you. Just flew across the country, was in Coachella Invitational for the preseason tournament, back on the best coast of the country now. How you doing for real, man? You get enough sleep? You got 3 phones? What's it looking like?
Is anybody okay? You know what I mean? I think that's how I'd answer how I'm doing. It's good. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be out in Coachella. It's nobody's fault but my own that I'm too stupid to realize what. Apparently, I searched the traffic from LAX to Palm Springs at not the time I was going to be flying in, so I thought it was a 2-hour drive. So it turned out to be a 4-hour drive. So that was fun after a 6-hour flight into LA, and I rent a car. Getting phone calls because I purposely didn't even look into the free in-flight Wi-Fi. I was like, I'm just going to pretend this isn't an option and I can't be reached. So then catching up on a bunch of stuff just from landing, that 6 hours of bliss of not being on my phone quickly punctured. And I'm like trying to stand in line for the rental car. And like, I have somebody's calling me. I was like, dude, I don't want to be that guy who's talking on phone in line. Like I can text you like, all right, I'll call you when I get my stupid car. So then it was like, all right, 6-hour flight. Let me get this scoop real quick, type it out on my phone, and then make the 4-hour drive to Palm Springs. I was like, what am I doing?
Legendary stuff, man. They don't call the man Tommy Scoops for nothing, man. A very appropriate nickname. Tom, you a Jersey guy, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's start with this. I have 2 quick questions. One is, how excited are you that the 2026 World Cup final was awarded to MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey? And 2, how upset are you that people are saying that the 2026 World Cup final will be played in New York?
First, look, I'm happy as a Jersey guy, but like, dude, I don't just like looking at MetLife from afar. Just imagine being a German, Brazilian, Argentine, Ivorian, anywhere in the country, English, anywhere, sorry, in the world, and being like, are we playing this game in the middle of an air conditioner in a parking lot? Like, what is going on? Oh, do trains work here? Not really, because MetLife public transit is a nightmare. So I'm very proud, but I'm looking forward to people figuring out what the hell happens with that. And then the second part, it makes it more fun to just yell at people about, no, it's New Jersey, no, it's New Jersey.
It's Jersey, man. It's Jersey. Somebody has been to MetLife for some soccer games, for some concerts, and all of the above. The only piece of advice I have is do not miss an exit on the Jersey Turnpike because you will delay your commute for probably about an hour. So
and also if you're taking an Uber or a ride share, they're not going to know where to pick you up. You're not going to know where to go. It doesn't matter how long these apps have been in service. MetLife is terrible with figuring out where you're supposed to go and where they're supposed to direct cars. So just go in it with a little bit of patience. That's what you're going to do.
That's it. Look at where else are you going to get 2 East Coast kids this far in advance for the World Cup final, man? Nowhere else. I promise you that. All right, let's jump into it. Before we get into the MLS stuff, I want to ask, what was your origin in soccer, man? Was it a certain team? Was it a player? Was it a moment? A relative? What was it that got you into the sport as a kid? Because it's always interesting to hear that backstory that has now led to this awesome thing that you got going on.
Yeah, soccer's been in my blood, man. Been playing ever since I could walk. My dad was a 3-year captain at Monmouth University. He's 62 right now. He just got back from a over 60 elite tournament in Florida, so he's still playing until he physically can't walk anymore. And that's kind of what I envision for my own future. So it's just always been kind of second nature to me. Thankfully, not to say thankfully, just because I should have rounded out some more life skills, but thankfully I figured out maybe when I was 15, like, hey, like this. Look, man, look around at the guys who are like actual pro prospects, and then like look at yourself. I don't think you're gonna quite be that. I knew that. Like, I stumbled into a journalism class when I was in high school, and I was like, wait, dudes just get to talk and write about sports, and like that's. I was like, yeah, sign me up. It's great. So that helped a lot with clarity on like what I wanted to do. I played soccer in college, and knowing what I wanted to do really helped inform that. Like the first school to recruit me didn't have a journalism program, so I was like, all right, cool. I'm just not going to go there, right? Like, so I'm very happy that I had that clarity, because hell, like my sister, she went into college undeclared, like so many other people in the world who don't exactly know what they want to do or think they know what they want to do and then change their mind. So I was very lucky with that. That helped kind of streamline everything. So I went to a school in North Jersey. It was like 30 minutes outside of New York City. Shout out to Kane University. So that helped with internships and everything else, and just kind of being in that area, rather than going to a bigger school in the middle of nowhere, right? Like, so it was, again, confluence of hard work and good luck is what I say for my basic answer for all this. But yeah, all these little decisions kind of helped.
That's fire, man. I love it. And you're a Liverpool fan, correct?
Yep. The short one there isn't just like I was like, wow, that team's really good. I like them on TV, which is fine, by the way, because that is the American origin story for most people, because there is no like local connections. But one of my dad's teammates playing men's league guy came to America when he was like 30. He had played in he was Liverpool born and bred. He ended up playing in like the Everton Academy, English youth national team. His career didn't work out because of injuries. He links up. He's playing like with my dad, and they become really close. He asked if he could borrow my dad's car to pick up his parents, who are born and bred and live in Liverpool, from the airport. And as a thank you, he left 2 Liverpool kits in the back seat for me and my sister. And this was like 2003. I was like 8. So it was like kind of right before the 05 Champions League and stuff. Suffered through a lot of bad times in the 2010s and late 09s, late aughts. So this Jurgen Klopp run, I've truly appreciated it.
I love that, man. Hey, that's what it is about being a soccer fan. You got to go through the bad times. There's a little bit of payoff once in a while. The team I cheer for in Colombia does it to me all the time. So,
which team is yours in Colombia?
Medellin, Deportivo Independiente Medellin. And the last 2 Decembers, we made it to the finals. In the last 2 Decembers, I was at the stadium. In the last 2 Decembers, we won the finals. So,
both you were there both times. Oh no, I'm sorry.
And I'm like, the next time they go to the finals, I'll probably be there reluctantly. And I hope it's their time to charm, because man, it's getting to be too much for me.
Law of averages. It has to happen at some point with you there.
It has to happen, man. The one time they won that I was there was the pandemic, so the stadium was closed, but they played at the stadium, so it wasn't the same experience. But
that's unfortunate, man.
For real. But I guess you guys probably want to hear about MLS now. We got through the fun part. We'll get to some more fun stuff later. Major League Soccer is on the way, man. Into Miami and Real Salt Lake, kick off the season very soon here. And I feel like you can't have an MLS conversation without speaking about Miami. So let's start there, because it's just the easiest way to go about it. Obviously, Leo Messi, Busquets, and Jordi Alba last year, they had this beautiful Leagues Cup run, and then we put the calculators out, and Sasha Kleshtin put the whiteboard out and tried to do the math. They were going to make the playoffs. It was always a long shot, but now they have Luis Suarez. Now they have a fresh slate to work with, and they go on this preseason tour, which I think anybody probably could have said soccer-wise might have not been the smartest idea before it happened. Everything else about growing the brand and things like that, for sure you see the vision. Whispers, the brand is Lionel Messi. That's all you get. But they traveled all over the place, man. They Salvador, Texas, Hong Kong, all over the place. The Ronaldo Messi match doesn't happen. You lose Farias to ACL. Kermaski gets hurt. The soccer's not really there. Now, I'm one of the people that doesn't really trip off preseason too much, because I feel like you don't need to. But what do you make of this Miami preseason? Because it was definitely controversial.
Yeah, look, I think this is one of the interesting takes, because you can talk to people around the league, or fans, and then people in the league who, this is the version of Manchester United or in Barcelona and Spain, right? Like this is the team that I'm sure if you talk to a Brighton fan, they would wish poor against Manchester United, right? Like so, and that's how I've been wanting to frame it. Like, all right, like what is like the real truth here? And I thought the most interesting perspective I got was from Phil Neville, who again it happened to be the Inter Miami coach. It was somebody I wanted to talk to somebody who was a head coach and also somebody who had Phil's playing career where this is what he's used to. And he's like, look, man, like he's like, I don't care that the results were bad, right? Like, he's like, I get it. It's probably not ideal as a manager to prepare the team, but he's like, look, this is football. If we want to grow, if we want to be all these ambitious things that we say we're going to be, we have to get out of our comfort zone like this. He's like, every preseason at Manchester United, we were in Thailand, Australia, America, South America, like Africa, wherever. Like, he's like, yeah, that sucks sometimes, right? Like, it wasn't the most, it didn't matter if you were flying private or not. Like, that's still just so many miles. But he's like, look, it's part of football, right? Like, it's, if we want to be the big league that we want to be, this has to be part of it. So it was really interesting hearing Phil talk about like his perspective of like, yeah, well done to them for trying it. Like, again, they lost 6-0. Who cares? Like, they were playing Al Hilal, I believe, like whoever that they lost to was mid-season. They had all of their starters. Miami were missing a few guys again, plus being at the beginning of preseason, more or less. Like, yeah, like that happens. Who cares? Like, this is again, I hate the side of things that it's like business and part of the brand and then all that crap. But like, that's part of it, man. If they didn't do stuff like this, they wouldn't be able to afford Messi. So it's like, it's the trade-offs that are part of the deal. And I understand, and I don't want to take away from any fans or anybody at other clubs. Like, one person I was speaking to just directly said with like a bit of a laugh, like from another team, there was just like, it was an effing disaster. Like, and that's going to be part of it too. But like, look, we have to do these things if we want to be a big boy league, right? Like, so I don't know. I like you said, I don't really care about preseason results and the injuries too. Like, I'm not a doctor, right? Like, can you say with 100% certainty that, like, again, Farias got hurt in El Salvador, the first preseason game? That could have happened in Clearwater. That could have happened in Coachella. That could have happened in Fort Lauderdale. They didn't have to travel anywhere for something like that to happen. Like, Ben Kromaski was a sports hernia. And, like, I think it happened in training or something, right? Like, these things happen. Like, I think it's unfair to say with certainty that, oh, if they didn't go to Riyadh, that these players wouldn't have gotten hurt. Because, like, I just don't think that that's genuine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree on all those points. I think it was a little bit of an overreaction, which it's just the times that we live in now. But in terms of going through it, like you mentioned Phil Neville, and it's awesome to get that perspective, especially from somebody that coached there. But you rather Tata Martino and his players go through that now than have to go through that in the first few games of CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is coming up really soon. So, like, hey, take your licks now. But that's what preseason is for, man. It's for you to work things out, see what works, see what doesn't work. Now we get
and look.
Doesn't make sense. Great, but
sorry, I was just gonna say Tata has managed Argentina and Barcelona. Like, this ain't new to him, man. Like, he understands that this is part of the deal. And again, like, if it was Phil would, like, he's clearly saying it's part of the deal. You get, like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody should really be surprised. And again, like, going back, like, he's on 20 million or whatever he is. Like, something has to be they have to pay for it somehow, right? Like, it's not just jersey sales, particularly with all of the bootleg jerseys that have been sold that Miami doesn't get a cut of.
You're saying that, man. I have never seen so many pink jerseys in Colombia since this last December I was there. I'm like, these jerseys are everywhere, man.
That's crazy, right?
Unreal. But yeah, I mean, I'm you're always excited. Last year it was like must watch TV. Obviously this season it will be more so because they get to go at it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Expectations are high, but that's what it is. Like you said, when you have those players here, it's gonna be serious. I mean, Messi's over here doing Super Bowl commercials now, man. Like, it's the American dream. We love this. One thing that's probably not the American dream is whatever's happening in the other city in Florida with Duncan McGuire and his dream to potentially be in England, which seemed like it was over the line, but wasn't over the line. Tom has been all over this, illustrated it greatly. Plenty of times. I will ask you to do that here, but try to make it as short as possible because I know this is complicated. What happened with Duncan McGuire, man?
I'm convinced that this story is never going to end. That I feel like it's going to be every other day. I'm getting a new Duncan McGuire update. So, like, again, trying to short. It's so crazy. It's a telenovela, man. It's unreal. Like, and it's just fueled by incompetence and Blackburn is not covering themselves in glory here. So Blackburn, at the beginning of the transfer window, or like end of December, kind of right before it started, sent a couple loan offers to Orlando for Duncan McGuire. They identified him a while ago as a player they wanted. Orlando were kind of like, we don't want to do a loan, right? And then McGuire said, cool, I get that. I want a new contract because I'm making $77,000. And I just I'm about to make my national team debut. They went back and forth a little bit in contract talks. They didn't really get close. And then Sheffield Wednesday came in with some serious interest. So it was like, okay, like this is a possibility, if not a probability. And if they weren't going to come close on a contract and McGuire has aspirations to play in Europe, this made sense. So, Sheffield Wednesday got closer. Their payment structure wasn't what Orlando needed it to be. They needed, whether it was a loan or a transfer, there had to be a payment up front so that they could transmit that into allocation money to help with their other signings and everything else. And then now they're signing Luis Muriel. They go back to Blackburn. Blackburn was the place that made the most sense, both because Sheffield Wednesday were 5 points below the drop zone, and they don't have any money. And if he went to Sheffield Wednesday, it would have been written to his contract to have a relegation release clause. So if he wasn't able to save them, he would have to transfer again in a few months because he doesn't want to play in League One. So there was a lot of problems there. Blackburn start to figure out that there's a kid named Adam Morton that they were getting serious bids from the Premier League. We have £20 million coming in. Let's talk about Duncan McGuire again. They kind of go back and forth with Orlando. Orlando obviously trying to get the best deal they can. They agree to a fee that's like just under $4 million US. So it's like £3 million. This is 2 days before the deadline. This was like the informal deadline of if nothing's agreed by today, it's over because he needs to fly and get there and do the medical and all that crap. McGuire leaves preseason camp in Cancun, goes to the airport. He's taking a connecting flight through JFK. While he's on the first flight, Blackburn's owners, much maligned owners that the fans have protested because it's been a dreadful decade, call the front office, the technical staff of Blackburn and say, hey, the deals that you're working on, you need to pull out. We don't have any money. And Blackburn was like, what the hell? We're getting £20 million from Palace. They're like, no, we don't have the money. We can stop every deal that you're trying to do. So it wasn't just Duncan McGuire. Like I know firsthand they had other deals, not from MLS players, but like I've seen that the sporting director had to pretty much be like, I'm so sorry, but the owners called us, right? So this is when McGuire's on the plane going there. Orlando tried to reach him before he gets on his connecting flight to say, come home. Okay. Didn't happen. McGuire, the official line was unreachable from what I was told. I don't know if Orlando officially 100% buy that or not, but he was unreachable, gets on the connecting flight. His agent goes and meets him in England because he's like, okay, Sheffield Wednesday are back in the picture. Ipswich Town had some interest. Cardiff City had some interest. It was like, all right, if we're in England, there's a chance. Maybe we can make a deal happen. The deal for Blackburn, the Wharton kid goes through, and Blackburn and Orlando hadn't spoke, and Sheffield Wednesday were like continuing to push, and McGuire's agent calls Blackburn, and for the first communication since the guy had to sheepishly say, I'm so sorry, we have to pull out. It's like, would you be able to do a loan deal with X amount of a loan fee? And he's like, I think we can make that happen. So they connect again with Blackburn. A second deal starts to come together. Duncan McGuire is in a hotel in Sheffield because they figured the most likely outcome on deadline day was Sheffield Wednesday. They're getting closer to agreeing with Blackburn. Sheffield Wednesday sends a card to the hotel of like, if you agree a deal, we'll take you to the facility to do the medical. Blackburn sends a card to the hotel. If you agree a deal with us, you take for medical. They don't know what to do. They're still working on it. They call a cab, just like a black cab. A guy like, we don't want to get in either of your cars. And then they had Blackburn kind of reimburse them for the money later, which I was like, why didn't you just get in Blackburn's car? He goes to Blackburn. It's like 6 hours left before the deadline. Plenty of time, dude. Plenty of time. They're working on multiple signings. Medical's done 4 hours in advance. Paperwork signed, completed correctly, hour and a half in advance. I'm getting updates. Signed. MLS is signed. This is signed. Okay, no worries. The administrator clicked save paperwork instead of submit paperwork. He didn't realize it until after the window. And he did that, it's time stamped. And that's why when they appealed the EFL, they were like, look, we did this in good faith. You can see the timestamps of when all the paperwork was in. Please let this through. And they were like, sorry, we're not going to let that happen. So in the span of 72 hours, 2 separate deals of Blackburn fell apart. And then all of a sudden, Duncan McGuire is returning to Orlando where he's about to be the backup to Luis Muriel. They can play together, but push comes to shove. If you're playing with one forward, they invested a DP spot. Luis Muriel is an awesome player. Duncan McGuire is very, very good too. But his camp believes he's about to be a backup. And then that will make things difficult for, again, all right, now they're going to be offers again in the summer. What about a contract? He was about to be on a new deal like 10 times what he's currently earning. So now he's back. That problem is still there, right? And now, will I have enough playing time to stay on the U.S. Olympic team? Because that's important for like all this. Like, so in the span of 72 hours for 2 different times, no fault of his own whatsoever, the kid's dream kind of goes away. And again, you could say stuff like the Blackburn manager resigned over this. He was like, this club's a joke. I'm out. Apparently, he's about to be hired as a Sweden national team head coach. So good for him. Well done to change that up. So yeah, you could say like maybe it's thankful. Maybe Blackburn wouldn't have been the right place for him just because of all this crap. But like, at the end of the day, man, like it's tough. It's tough to resist a pay raise. It's tough to resist going to the championship. And now you come back to Orlando and you think that you're going to be second string. This isn't over yet. There's several MLS teams have called about a potential trade. Orlando's stance is insistent they don't want to trade, but we'll see if it gets messy.
Oh man, that's such a crushing story, man. It's awful.
You couldn't write it in fiction. Like it's unreal.
It reminds me of a little bit of the Julian Araujo thing when he was getting the paperwork.
Oh my god,
nowhere as layered, but it's unreal, man. That's just at that level is unreal.
Yeah, so and that's the thing too. Like, so like that's a great point. I completely forgot like during that process about the Araujo stuff because he couldn't be registered by Barcelona because they messed up. They didn't file the paperwork on time. But Barcelona was just like, screw it. Like, it's a permanent deal. He can just train with the second team and we'll just honor the deal. Like Blackburn, it was going to be a loan with a purchase option. Like, they can't spend a loan fee on a player who can't play, right? Like, so it just sucks, man. It's just, and obviously Duncan, like, wasn't there. There was no scenario in which he was going to be okay with not playing for 6 months or whatever.
Yeah. Now it puts him in an awful position because they bring in, like you said, they bring in Luis Muriel, who Colombian international has had great success in Europe and Italy as of recent. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, if you do have to put it like you're probably going to be second string here, now your value is going to dip. Hopefully that all works out for Duncan in this camp because that's awful, man. All right, well, let's move on from that. Let's go big picture here. I want to know 2 teams in both conferences that you're most excited to watch this season. So you could start East or West, split them up however you want. But just 2 teams. I mean, we already talked about Miami, so you probably everybody's excited to watch Miami. But 2 teams from each conference that you're most excited for.
In the West, Colorado and Dallas are 2 teams that I really am interested in. I'll start with Colorado, just that like their vision from the front office to the coaching staff last year was fractured clearly. The roster was built to play like they did in 2021, which was transition heavy, being really difficult to beat, win on set pieces, all that stuff. And then Robin Fraser wanted to play more of a possession style, and it just didn't work. They were very bad. They bring in a new coach, Chris Armas. He's going to be playing the transition-based soccer. It's going to be more up-tempo. It's going to be much more of the 2021 Rapids than what it was last year. I love the signings of Georgi Mihailovic, Zach Steffen, and Sam Vines. I think those are 3 high-level, proven MLS players. Cole Bassett signing a new deal is big. Connor Ronan, I hope that you didn't watch a lot of Colorado Rapids soccer last year. Not many people should have. It was brutal. Connor Ronan was one of the very few bright spots on that team. He was awesome. And I think that fans are going to realize, like, oh, God, like, this guy's really good. Like, as long as they don't suck again, which I don't think that they will, but I could be wrong because I'm an idiot. But so I'm really looking forward to that group. Dallas, man, they spent $10 million on a 25-year-old Croatian international. And I've been saying kind of for a couple years, even when Jesus Ferreira had his career best season when he was a center forward in a 4-3-3, dude, I think his best spot is playing as a second striker, like off of somebody like Peter Musa. So now the team spends $10 million on that. When Alan Velasco comes back at some point in the second half of the season, and now Dallas are playing a 3-4-2-1, a front 3 of Musa with Jesus Ferreira and Alan Velasco underneath, I think is going to be electric. I can't wait for that. Like, Bernard Kumungo is a super fun player. They brought in an 18-year-old Bulgarian international, I believe, or Hungarian international. I don't have it correct off the top of my head, but they just have so much talent there that, again, I had higher hopes for them last year, and they really disappointed, not just in the standings first and foremost, but also like I thought that they were going to play much better soccer. Like I do like Nico Estevez as a coach. I like a lot of the pieces they have. I think that they're going to be much more fun in a 3-4-2-1. And yeah, like I think that we're going to see the best of Jesus Ferreira in MLS this year. And again, he's been really, really good over the last few years, right? Like, so like I think that this is the best spot for him.
Yeah, and the West, like mentioning Colorado, the West is on the bottom. There's room for movement. And we know a lot of teams get into the playoffs anyway, so it's not like you have to have a super great season to sneak in there. But even Zach Steffen speaking today in media availability was saying like this is the best he's felt physically.
Yeah.
And like his whole career. So if that's actually true and translates onto the field, it's huge for Colorado. Obviously, Georgie has proven what he could do, and that's an exciting piece to see back in MLS. And you mentioned Kamungo, man. He's probably one of the most exciting players to watch in MLS that maybe is underrated.
Yeah.
Just what he could provide. And I like that Dallas team a lot, man. I think they've always been like a 1 or 2 pieces away from really being.
Oh my God. For years, it was like, if they just had a DP, if they just had another DP, it's like, all right. So like this offseason, I gave up hope that they were going to sign a DP because I was like, screw it. Like I've been saying this for 4 years in a row, and I don't believe you're going to do it. And then bang, $10 million on center forward.
And another part of that equation too is like I feel the Texas rivalry kind of amped up when Austin comes in so hot, and now they kind of downgraded tremendously from what they were. Now Houston has a great season. Now Dallas is like, yo, don't forget about us, man. Like we're still here to swing with the big boys, and I feel like they can have a fun season, man, for sure.
I agree. That's a great point too. And again, with Houston, Dallas, like when that rivalry is fun when they're good, man, and it's fun when they're not good anyway. But like it's much better when they are good.
Yeah, you guys rocking. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the best coast. Who are you two in the East?
Look, I'm not gonna say Columbus are just about my favorite team to watch in the league, but I feel like we've talked enough about them. They've gotten all their flowers from MLS Cup run as they should. Cincinnati won a trophy, so I'm going to stick away from them too as well. Atlanta United, like Thiago Almada is just must watch any minute you can get, right? And Yorgos Giakoumakis should be a Golden Boot favorite. What they did over the last 2 windows in particular, I guess 3 with Giakoumakis coming in last winter, but in the summer when they brought in Tristan Miyumba and Sabalovic Nitze and John De Silva, it made the team, it wasn't just a collection of talent. It was talent that made sense and accentuated each other. Because their problem was like they had good players. I still think Marcelino Moreno could have been a good player in this league. But you just put him next to 4 players who do the same exact thing as him. So they all looked like they were bad. Barco, Moreno, PT, whatever it was a lot of dudes who wanted to play in the same space and no runners around them. So what I loved about the summer is they made a lot of signings that made sense. They desperately needed a central midfielder like Tristan Miyumba. Really good. This offseason, what they desperately needed was a ball winner, was just an absolute destroyer. And they go out and spend $3.5 million on an in-prime Poland international number 6. It's going to make everybody around him better. As long as, and I think very highly of this player. And again, you just look at Atlanta's last 10 signings or whatever it is. They've hit just about all of them. Everybody but like Derek Etienne. And he was signed in Garth Lagerwey was not involved in that deal. So their last 9 signings have all been hits. They needed to replace Miles Robinson. They bring in this defender called Stian Gregerson. And again, maybe Bartosz Slis, the defensive midfielder, doesn't hit. Maybe Gregerson doesn't hit, right? But if they do, this is one of the best teams in the league, and they'd be talked about more like that. If it was like, if you could tell me 100% certainty Thiago Almada is going to be here through the end of the season, I've got them in the absolute top tier of contenders. And one more point kind of on Gregerson. Orlando tried to sign him. Another MLS team tried to sign him a year ago. I completely blank on who it is. But I've talked to scouts from both of those teams, and they've been like, dude, like Atlanta, that guy's good, man. Like Atlanta, like well done by them. Like I wish that we were able to sign him. So like all that being said, like they don't have any holes right now. And Josh Cohen in a goal for Brad Guzan, I think is going to be a pretty massive upgrade, even if Josh Cohen is league average. Like, so again, I just look at this team and there's so much to like. And then, man, maybe it's just because I got to watch him in preseason up close, but Red Bulls almost exclusively for Emil Forsberg. He looks incredible, dude. Like everybody I've talked to that has seen him play in person this preseason, I've been like, oh my God, like this guy is like, there's no questions. Like he's going to be awesome. If Dante Van Zier lives up to like the $5 million that they bought from last year, he did not look good in the preseason game I saw. I missed a couple chances. I hope that doesn't kill his confidence. But dude, Forsberg was just on another level every time he got on the ball, and I just can't wait to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, we know the Red Bulls always play some exciting brand of soccer. So either way, it's gonna be attracting me with them. And same with Atlanta. Like you mentioned, the Garth. No surprise that Garth Lagerwey has swung and hit basically everything that is his way. Now he's building something in Atlanta that could be reminiscent of when Atlanta was really, really good when they came into MLS. And if that stadium and that fan base gets rocking like it used to back then, it's going to be problems for anybody in the East or anybody in the league, rather. So I like that. I like that call in Atlanta. They turned up that last transfer window last year, and they hit the ground.
Yeah.
They couldn't defend too much, but it was like we said the same the crew did that all the way to the playoffs, and then we're like, all right, now we're just gonna win MLS Cup. So, there's different methods to being successful in Major League Soccer. Quickly on the crew as defending champs, like obviously, like you mentioned, we've talked about Wilfried Nancy and how great they've been since he's got in, and just him implementing his styles. But it's feasible for this team to be as good next year, correct? Or is that the
Yeah.
yeah?
The only person they lost from their rotation was Julian Gressel. And I think that I'm at the forefront of the Julian Gressel bandwagon, but like facts are facts. He wasn't starting in the playoffs. So they didn't lose any starter. Like he was a key piece for the team. I think that he would have been a starter if he stayed this year, right? But the way that they were able to keep the team together is the most impressive part to me. And they have a cheat code in Wilfried Nancy. Go back the last 3 years. Every single attacker he's worked with had their career best year under him. Georgi Mihailovic, Romel Kyoto, Cucho Hernandez, and then you just kind of go down like Yaya Boa, Alexandru Matan. They couldn't give those players away. They wanted to give those players away under Caleb Porter. And then Nancy comes in and Matan has 15 assists or 12 assists, whatever it was. And Yaya Boa should have won man of the match for MLS Cup. Like it's a cheek. Malte Amundsen. I was talking to talking to somebody about this, that like NYCFC, like he wasn't playing. Mm-hmm. And so the coaching staff clearly didn't rate him. They didn't think that he fit. He goes to Columbus and he's a key part. He's a starter at left side. Like it's a cheat code. And they already have a really, really good front office with not just Tim Bezbachenko, but Neil McGuinness, Corey Ray, Issa Tall, Mark Nichols. So they already have a phenomenal front office. And they have a coaching staff where they maximize every bit of talent that you give them. And it's just like they're going to be great again.
Yeah, they have a blueprint that, I mean, a lot of teams should be replicating from their success in MLS Next Pro to what you get rid of Lucas Illarrayan in the middle of the season and you're like, nah, we're not going to have too much of an issue. And they bring in somebody like Diego Rossi, who clearly has success in MLS with LAFC. You bring in Christian Ramirez, so you talk about players that have been rotated around. I mean, people forget he went from LA, prior, obviously Minnesota, LA, then he was in Houston for a little bit, then he went overseas. And it's like he was a huge piece of that equation too. And it's like, it's incredible the team that they have. And I think we all knew once he landed the job there, like he's gonna do it was the perfect role for him in terms of the younger kids and being able to develop them and then just getting the best out of that roster. I mean, they're gonna be right up there. So I agree with that, man, for sure. Now there's a lot of, I guess, the bigger names that get the attention. We talked about Suarez, we talked about Muriel and Emil Forsberg and all that stuff. What are some of the underrated moves, perhaps, that maybe haven't been talked about on a bigger scale from the offseason, that maybe some players that you're excited that haven't got too much of the shine?
Yeah, I mean, I love a DM. So Bartosz Slisz with Atlanta. I know we've already talked about him, so I kind of won't go over that too much. I love Edward Atuesta. I think that has gotten plenty of burn, but like I want to just shout that out that like I'm so happy that he's back in MLS. He's a really good player. Some other that kind of come to mind, Fidel Barajas. I'm really excited to see if he's going to get minutes at Real Salt Lake. He was the best young player in the USL Championship last year. Real Salt Lake had success by bringing Diego Luna from USL. Now it took like 6 months for Pablo Mastroeni to trust him and for him to earn some regular minutes. So again, Fidel Barajas is 17 years old. I don't know how quickly or how slowly it might take him to be regular, but like, again, I've been talking to folks around the club in preseason. They've been like, "Well, like this kid's good. He's ready. He's ready for minutes." So we'll see. But again, I don't think it'd be unfair to just have high expectations for him like right out of the gate. Like if he doesn't score a goal in the first month, that's okay. He's 17, right? Like so. But yeah, I can't wait to watch him play. And then I guess there's one more would be Montreal, the attacking midfielder, Bulgarian international, Yankov. I don't know a ton about him, but the little that I've seen, like he just seems like a profile that makes so much sense in MLS. And again, I rate their new head coach, Laurent Courtois, very highly. He comes from Columbus, comes from a year with Wilfried Nancy. I think that he's going to play a fun brand of soccer.
I like it, man. I feel like this offseason or leading into the season, there's so much movement around coaches. You have coaches, familiar names, and maybe some not so familiar in new places. You already talked about Chris Armas. You have Caleb Porter in New England. Phil Neville, we already mentioned. You have Dean Smith. What I don't want to say necessarily a coach that you think may have the most success, but besides Armas, because I think you bring up a great point of him in Colorado and implementing his style there. What coach are maybe perhaps you most excited to see him kind of do that in a new system? Because I know some coaches are we're going to stick to our guns and do it that way, and some are like, maybe we're going to try something else. Like talking about the Revs, it's like you don't know what they're going from Bruce to interims to Caleb Porter. That's like a night and day. Completely
Right.
changed styles within over a few months. So maybe a coach or two that you're pretty excited about in a new place.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard so much great things about Dean Smith in Charlotte. Um, I didn't know necessarily what to expect when they hired him. And then again, the more people I've spoke to, it's like, oh God, it was a great hire. Like just a lot of like foundational culture stuff that the previous two coaches have just completely disregarded. Dean Smith has been awesome with it this winter. The roster still needs at least one, if not two DPs. So, temper your expectations early. But again, I think that they're going to make a lot more sense. They're going to be much harder to beat than they were last year. I think Portland is a much better roster right now, and I'm one of the people who still rates Phil Neville. This is he's even said it that like now is the time to judge me, right? Like you can make so many excuses for his time in Miami. Just his DPs were like, they were hamstrung with roster sanctions. They had a bad roster. The DPs were Higuain and Pizarro. Pizarro was keeping a DP spot even when he wasn't at the club, and then when he was at the club, he wasn't any good. Like I don't know, man. Like then when he got fired last year, they were saving two DP spots for Messi and Busquets, as they 1000% should have, obviously. And Gregory had the third one, and then he got hurt after like 3 games. Like you can't win in this league when you have both hands tied behind your back, right? Like so. Again, if Neville flames out in Portland, then I'll change my opinion, right? But like I'm still on the optimistic side, and they're going to sign a forward probably soon, hopefully soon, whatever it is. And then an attack with a new DP forward and a Vander, and now like they worked on the defensive unit as well. Like I think that team is ready to compete. Maybe not quite yet in terms of like title aspirations, but like if they don't make the playoffs, it's a pretty big disappointment.
Yeah, I like the Neville shout. I agree with you. I still rate him. I think he got judged a little unfairly with everything that happened in Miami, and I think he has a pretty nice slate to work with. And Charlotte, man, I mean, they need to do something to make a bang there because they have a very good fan base. We were there at the opener a few years ago, which seems like forever now. That you see that stadium full, 75,000, which at the time was an MLS record.
Yeah.
But they have a supportive fan base, and they're just anxious for a little bit of success there. So I'm glad to hear that about Dean Smith, and hopefully it pans out for them there too, man. Let's touch on for my locals, for all the fans that follow the LA sides. Let's touch on LAFC and LA Galaxy real quick. Obviously, the Galaxy last year, mess is probably an understatement of a word. So rough. LAFC, LAFC is one of those things again where it's like you take reality and then you have the internet conversation. And it's like the internet conversation does not line up with the actual reality of what LAFC was. And everybody's like, oh, they suck. And I'm like, dude, they went to all these finals. They get to all of these big stages.
Ridiculous.
It's the MLS Cup again, really like not being great all season. And then we're talking about a team that falls just short of a cup, falls just short of Champions League. And then they lose Campeones Cup. So, of course, there's a lot of conversation that happens, speaking to Steve Cherundolo throughout the year, all the excuses about rosters and time. Like, we get all of that, right? But when you put it on paper, you still have a coach that implemented what he wanted to do. They're turning up, and everybody thought they were quiet during the offseason. And then John Thornton was like, I got something for all of y'all, and let me turn up on you guys. Galaxy, Will Kuntz is cooking too, man. So what do we make of the two LA teams right now?
Yeah, both in transition for different reasons. Like you said with LAFC, they've both struggled. Like that's what was so impressive about Columbus, that they were able to keep everybody. Like LAFC, John Thornton's been really public about this the last couple of years. It's really, really hard to keep together a contending team when you get to the pinnacle like that, because the salary cap, players get raises, players want to move on. That's all normal. This one though, it wasn't just all of that. It was they missed on Biuk, they missed badly on Gonzalez. And then who else? They let somebody. Oh, and Krastev. Like those were 3 of their key signings, and just swung a miss on all of them, right? And they weren't able to re-sign Diego Palacios. But what they've done is, again, Edward West. I think that's a phenomenal signing. Tomas Angel makes a lot of sense. I'm very, very excited to see him in this league. Like I think that he's going to be a really talented young player, and he's going to have a pathway to minutes depending on what they do at center forward. I'm a romantic. I hope that they bring back Carlos Vela, because I don't want to see him in any other jersey for the whatever's left of his career. But LAFC don't operate like that. They don't pay you for past performances, so wouldn't be surprised if he walks. Again, we're 11 days until LAFC's first game or whatever it is, and he's not re-signed. So make of that what you will, right? Like so, yeah, I'm really excited to see them. And then the Galaxy, Gabriel Peck, I think that signing is going to be very good. But the best signing is going to be Panso. I reported today that they're finally finalizing that deal, or it's about to be finalized, whatever it is. The plan is that they hope that he'll be able to travel in the coming days to finalize this deal. He had 17 goals and 14 assists last season for Genk in Belgium. He's in prime. His profile of his finishing ability, his dynamic physical ability, his technical quality, and the way that he plays, he plays like an inside forward. He plays like a style of that Bouanga plays as a winger. He's a winger, but he's really an inside forward. That's the kind of player that you need next to Ricky Puig, because Ricky Puig could get 25 assists if you have that player near him. So this team makes a whole lot more sense than when it had Douglas Costa as a winger and who's Tyler Boyd, right? Like I think that this team's going to look really good. They still, when I was at their preseason game the other day, their starting center back duo was a combined 72 years old. That might be an issue, but they do still have Jalen Neal. He just wasn't available. So we'll see kind of how it goes. But again, I think that both these teams are at least going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. And it's gonna, not that El Tráfico ever needs some help for promotion, but it's gonna make for some fun games between LA Galaxy and LAFC. All right, let's have some fun again, some quick hits, and we'll get Tom on his way. His phone's probably going crazy. He's probably about to tweet another Tommy scoop bomb, whatever we call it. So let's start with this. I don't want to say how many, but I'm sure you've probably been to a lot of the stadiums around the league. What has been your favorite stadium? And do not say Red Bull Arena as a biased New Jersey folk.
Oh, but dude, they have the best press box because it's right above the benches. Everybody else, it's like,
it looks beautiful, man. I'm not gonna lie.
And it's outside. So my favorite stadium, it has to have like outdoor press area, because it's so important for me to, like, if they don't open the windows in some of these newer ones that can be enclosed, I'll watch a game somewhere else. Like I need to have like the atmosphere. But yeah, like from a press box standpoint, it really is Red Bull Arena. The BMO Field now, so they keep changing it. That was really nice. But I know it's recency bias because I was just in Columbus, but Columbus Crew Stadium is absolutely gorgeous, man. I really, really like that one.
Bro, all these soccer specific stadiums, they knock them out the park, man. They're all
incredible.
Really nice. City Park is amazing.
I want to get there.
So it's if you get the chance to go there this season, I recommend it for sure. We talked about this a little bit. I mentioned it a little bit as a joke, but is there a fan base that gets at you the most? Like, I always see people tweet at you, where's the LAFC news? Where's the Columbus news? Where's the Cincy news?
That stuff's playful. That's good. I do get Montreal fans. Really, I had to do a lot of Google translating from French last year because they were not happy at wherever I put them in a preseason ranking. And I was like, guys, it's not that serious. Like, it's not a personal attack. I just don't think the team's going to be very good. And guess what? I was right, but who cares? No, that was the first. But I've been they've. Again, if you crap on a team, they'll rightfully kind of, or less that they're nihilistic. Like, I think that I kind of made a run at Toronto for just trying to keep state secrets on the stupid preseason game, and a lot of Toronto fans were like, "Thank God, like thank you for like flaming them on this." So most of the time, it's if you say something bad about the team, but then there's enough teams that understand, like, all right, like if we're doing something wrong, if we suck, like please let us have it. So yeah, like Orlando used to be notorious for this, but I think Orlando fans like me. I hope that I didn't just invite them to come give me crap, but usually it's the anonymous hashtag #ProRel for USA accounts. Those are, and I don't know, they don't have a fan base. They're just miserable and sad all the time.
I love it, man. I love it. Tom is fighting the good fight all the time. That time you don't know him, man. I'm telling you personally, you gotta get to know the guy. Now, when you're sitting on like a big scoop, and I think you talked about this, I think last season or 2 seasons ago now, rather, with the Gareth Bale news. Oof. What is that like? Because I'm sure there's probably like some pushback, awful. Maybe teams, maybe like how does that even come about, man? Because you're like, I got this and I'm about to like shock everybody, but there's obviously protocols to everything.
Yeah, like even I was joking with you before, like I was delayed to come on this podcast because again I had a piece of news from Cincinnati that had already been reported elsewhere, but I was able to confirm it, right? The Luca Oriano, whatever. But I've been working on the signing for a little while. It was nothing groundbreaking. It was nothing even necessarily new. I was continuing to refresh my computer, waiting for editors to publish the scoop. Like, it is awful just being like, did they read it yet? Did they put it up yet? Oh my God, what if in the time between I send it to my editors and then somebody else, and before I get to publish it, somebody else goes with it? Like, those are the worst. So yeah, it's a lot of anxiety.
I love it, man. I love it. Like I said, I hope you're getting your rest and your sleep and all that good stuff. And I hope you're not too delusional, because I'm going to ask you a really important question next, and I want you to answer it correctly.
Yes, the Knicks are going to win the NBA title. Is that
where we're going? Are the New York Knickerbockers back? And answer this question at ease, because our friend Matt Doyle is watching with his beady eyes.
The Knicks are back, baby. We're legit, man. We need OG's hurt, so that sucks. Jalen Brunson's absolutely already about to be a legend. He's a top 10 player, whatever it is in the league. We finally have a superstar. Julius Randle's even won me back this year before he got hurt. Let's see what happens in the playoffs. I don't trust him, but man, OG, Tibbs, and the boys. Dude. I was at a Knicks game and Doyle and Weeby and them, and Doyle was trying to like I forget who they played at this point, but they were losing. And he was like, he was taking some delight in it. He wasn't going to go into the Garden and actively root against the Knicks, but he would give me a little elbow when they were down by 4 in the first quarter. And then they won by like 25. So I enjoyed that a lot.
The Knicks are hoping, man. Jalen Brunson is a man. He's a dog. And it's funny because now that I've been in LA for over 5 years and steadily hate on the Lakers every chance I get to as a Celtics fan, it is a lot more fun when the Knicks are better. And it's now thinking of like the bi-coastal stuff, but when the Knicks are hooping and MSG's rocking, it's a lot.
Yeah, dude, the Garden. Oh my God. So yeah, we need the irrational confidence for Knicks fans because that, again, when we lose in the second round, or like that'll make for the best content. So exactly. Everybody wins.
You got to turn up outside of MSG regardless. Now, there's something that sparked a little bit of a controversy a little while ago. Lionel Messi, who's one of the best to ever do it, but he did this atrocity. People that are watching on YouTube get to see the pizza that I have on the screen. Well, gross. Pizza, I'm gonna put it in quotes. It's tomatoes and onions and olives. Listen, man, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, or if they do that in Argentina or the southern part of South America, which I have not gone to yet, but I would like to. But Tom, you're a pizza guy yourself, man. So I know you've posted some pictures of pizza, and I know the reactions are always great. Commercial. I want to know, what's your ideal pizza? If I give you a cheese pizza and you have to put like 3 toppings, if you even need 3, what's your ideal? Like, this is it. This is all it needs to be. Don't do too much and let's keep it moving.
Dude, the test of whether a pizzeria is really good or not is their plain slice. You can't hide behind toppings. If you have a good pizza, you have a good pizza. So like, I love a plain slice, and I think that's the best barometer. Some of the exotic stuff, I love a Sicilian, I love a grandma, but I'm a sucker for vodka sauce. So if it's a drunken grandma, which is vodka sauce, or penne vodka pizza, I feel awful after, but oh my God, I love it.
Hey man, that's I that Messi thing. Every time I see it, I'm just like, yo, he hasn't been in the States long enough. We got to get him right. We'll hook him up with Tom and get him a pizza tour.
No, because then he'll get fat like me. So don't let him do that.
Hey, you could be on the Super Bowl commercial next year with him playing soccer.
I don't think so.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No. To each their own, but no.
Just wanted to make sure. Since we're on the topic of food and the area, you walk into a bagel shop, what's your order?
Again, I go plain bagel with cream cheese. Toasted, obviously.
I like this. Tom's like, I'm not adding no craziness to it.
Exactly, dude. Again, and like I like an exotic bagel or something. But again, like the testament of a good bagel shop is the plain cream cheese and pork, egg, and cheese, obviously. But that's how it goes.
Love it. Now, speaking of being simple, Tom is a bear aficionado like myself and others. Last time I saw Tom was actually at Audi Field, Washington, D.C. for MLS All-Star Game last year. And I think I was pointing him in the direction to actually get a beer. I think it was they were serving Heineken or something like that. Now I'm realizing that I don't know if Heineken was up to par, because I know Tom likes to drink Miller Lite, Miller High Life. And I'm going to give you this platform and this time for you to explain your love for those beers and just why, because there's so much beer out there. But hey, we're not judging anybody, man. We just want to get to the
point. I do like a lot of beers, a lot of different beers, but like the Miller Lite's go to. It's about the journey, right? Like I'm not a big IPA guy, so like I love a red ale. I do love a Guinness and stuff, but like just the everyman, the Dax McCarty of beers is a Miller Lite. You know what I mean? You can't always have a Ricky Pooch. You can't have stuff like that. And Heineken obviously at MLS events because it's sponsored. So I've gotten used to some free Heinekens at those functions, which I enjoy as well. And I would say I enjoy it even more if they wanted to sponsor me. So just
I love that. My aunt is the only person I know that willingly drinks Miller Lite. So she's in good company. You're in good company. Whatever way you want to split it, man.
What a legend.
So, man, I appreciate the time. The official ringleader of the Sickos, episode 1, man. Thanks for coming through the Kicker with me. Anything you want to say, share before you get off? If not, feel free to go about your way. Thanks again. Follow my boy on all the platforms. Please subscribe to his YouTube. I really enjoy the short form videos, man. And we'll link up there in the season. I'm sure we'll have you back on the program, and we'll probably see each other in a press box or two, hopefully down the road.
Yeah, we better, man. I owe you a beer. Yo, congrats on starting the podcast. Well deserved. You should be a free agent for about 48 hours. I don't know. I don't know what the hell is going on. You should have been flooded with calls, but I look forward to all your successes, brother.
We got some things cooking up, man. Hopefully we'll
Yeah.
announce some stuff soon. But besides that, man, hey, if you were not watching this on YouTube, if you were tapped in on audio, I apologize because you didn't get to see the Jimi Hendrix kit that I'm wearing, but you didn't get to see the lavish stash in all its glory. So if you're listening on Spotify or on Apple, please tap into the YouTube. And I'm going to go with this Celtics in 6, my boy. Feel free to get logged off. I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl for a little bit and get out of here, brother. But I appreciate you, brother.
See you, bud.
Thanks, man. Tom Bogert, the legend, man. What a guy. What a guy. Appreciate him for coming through. That was a lot of fun. Episode 1, man. I told you he was going to start with a bang. We wasn't playing no games. So MLS season is upon us very soon here. And nobody better to have the time than Tom to break some stuff down. Now, I got to talk about the Super Bowl before I get out of here. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions back-to-back, all that good stuff. The conversation has been a little weird, man, because we're their own thief of joy for ourselves because the narratives always have to be comparing and contrasting and is Mahomes the GOAT and Tom Brady this and Kelsey this and Gronk this. Just stop, man. Just stop and enjoy the moment. I thought the Super Bowl was good. I thought it was fun. And I know people did not like the game, especially in the first half, because it was very defensive. I enjoy defensive football. A lot of strategy behind that. Shout out to Steve Spagnuolo. It's a lot of strategy behind that. I enjoyed the Patriots-Rams Super Bowl. That's probably biased, but you know what I mean? Mahomes is different. It's probably going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks we have ever seen as an athlete. Mahomes is not Tom Brady. Tom Brady is not Patrick Mahomes. And that conversation is a whole different conversation because it's very layered in terms of what they are as athletes, his mobility, his ability to get out of the pocket and make things happen. I don't really care about that. But stop pinning them together, man. Mahomes has 3 Super Bowls already. And sure, he could win 7. He could win 8. He could win 5. He could just win 3 and not win another one ever again. The trajectory is amazing that he's on. But let's chill with all the comparisons because the more we compare, it's just pointless. And it's robbing us, man. Because as a Patriots fan, and this is the part that gets me, as a Patriots fan, a lot of my fellow Patriot friends are like, I hate the Chiefs. I hate Mahomes. That's hypocritical, bro. You hate him because he's being successful and he has the AFC and NFL in a headlock, which is exactly what Tom Brady did for 20-something years in Foxborough. So let's chill a little bit on that. Congrats once again to the Kansas City Chiefs. Amazing. I think in retrospect, you always break things down and what could have been. I think the 49ers definitely coughed that Super Bowl up, but games always come down, and especially big games, they always come down to little moments. And the little moments, Dre Greenlaw popping his Achilles, running onto the field. You have the muff punt. You have the block, extra point. There's these little things that happen. One aspect that wasn't little was the 49ers getting into overtime and not knowing the rules. And I'm sorry, Kyle Shanahan, if you want to slice this up any which way, but that's inexcusable, man. You have a team at the Super Bowl. Shout out to Brock Purdy, man. Mr. Irrelevant and makes it to the Super Bowl, has a really good game. But once Spagnuolo switched things up on defense for the Chiefs, it made it a little difficult for Purdy. And the 49ers played great defensively as well. They just weren't getting what they needed on offense. And we know if you give a player of Mahomes' caliber time, he's going to make you pay for it. But you can't get to overtime and say, you know, we weren't aware of the rules. We didn't know really. I mean, the players said this. It wasn't like Shanahan was like, we talked about it as a coaching staff, but the players came out and said, we didn't even know until we saw it on the big screen at the stadium that the rules, like what the rules were, because the overtime rules changed. That's just inexcusable, man. And that's the stuff that hurts as a fan. Obviously, if you're a 49ers fan, you're going through it. But that is just like, man, you could think about all the stuff that I mentioned, little things that happened that changed the game. But that is bad. And Shanahan is looking funny in the light. Good coach, great coach, but he's gotten to that big stage a few times and not looking good for them. So that's my little take on the Super Bowl. Oh, one other thing, Tony Romo is absolutely wilding. I think I heard him on the broadcast say like Travis Kelce is the best tight end to ever play the game. Just stop, man. Prisoners of the moment. We just got to chill a little bit. Enjoy, like I said, appreciate the Chiefs for what they're doing. The run is crazy, and it could go on for a long time. But the league is stacked, man. The league is stacked. So we'll see what happens there. And this is not me hating because I love Mahomes. I like what the Chiefs are doing. I'm not hating at all. It's just like you guys got to relax a little bit. and there's a guy called Rob Gronkowski, and there's also a guy named Tom Brady that kind of paved the way for this. I'm not the old man now, like, yo, get off my lawn type thing, but let's chill. Let's chill. Let's end this with the halftime show. Usher, Raymond, of course, turned up, made it real Atlanta like we expected, which was super dope. Skating on a stage, which that takes a lot of guts because skating, singing, and dancing is a wild mix in front of that many people on TV and in the stadium. Like one false move and it's over for you. You on the internet for the rest of your life. But you know, Usher don't care about that. He also don't care about Swiss Beats because my boy was hugging on Alicia Keys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the My Boo video set. This is 2024, man. She got a whole husband and children. And then pictures, I'm like, yo, he a little extra tight. Alicia was smiling a little too much for me, but nah, it was dope. I thought the show was really good for the Super Bowl, man. You a legend with that many classics. You're just ringing them off. I think the problem was that a lot of times everybody's like, oh, we want to hear this song, and he had to cut to a different one because he has too many hits. So, but that's the Super Bowl for you, man. You just got to run through some hits. Having Luda up there was fire. Lil Jon, like I said, super Atlanta. Shout out to Jermaine Dupri, man. JD getting some heat. People talking about they thought he was CeeLo Green. Y'all ain't right, bro. Y'all ain't right. Something wrong with y'all for real, man. But the Usher Super Bowl was fire. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for episode 1, man. Lil Wayne, they're saying Lil Wayne for the Super Bowl next year in New Orleans, which would be cool. Please stop talking about Drake. People talking, oh, Lil Wayne brings Drake on. That's just we're getting too far ahead of ourselves now. But we don't need that. I'm gonna just leave it at that. We don't need that. But yeah, man, Super Bowl 1, episode 1 in the books. This is almost an hour, and I did not want to go this long, but that's what happens when you're having fun, man. Please continue to show love. Thank you to everybody that did after the intro episode. It was very heartfelt. I definitely felt the love. Subscribe to the channel, like the episode, write a comment, send me a message. We're gonna be on Spotify. We're gonna be on Apple Podcasts. So you have no excuse to consume the content, man. I make it easy for y'all. Make it easy for me and show me some love. That's all I got for y'all, man. Appreciate it. Kicking the real. We out. Peace.